Hey everyone, welcome to the first episode of Fashion on Tap. This episode is sponsored by Life, featuring Monstera. I'm in my Monstera sanctuary right now. Originally, I wanted to call this show Don't Call It Fashion because I feel like fashion can be quite a divisive, polarizing term. And I feel like it can be that way because it's misunderstood. So, in this initial opening episode, I wanted to discuss what fashion isn't, what fashion is, and preview some upcoming episodes. And I really encourage anyone to suggest topics that they're interested or bring up topics that they're interested in that they'd like to know more about related to this really very all-encompassing subject. So let's get started. What fashion isn't? Fashion isn't just clothes. It's not just brands. Consumerism, commercialism, trite, girly fluff. Fashion is history. It's business. It's identity, personal identity, cultural identity. It's politics, absolutely. Creativity. And it is clothes, too, and brands. And it can be as fluffy as anything in life can be, and certainly very fun. And in terms of these major dimensions of fashion as a subject, history, again, cultural history. It's a history of a lot of badass women doing business, mostly men, but also some women through history, and definitely more today. Fashion as a business, global supply chains, brilliant marketing. And we'll get into some case studies of the brilliant marketing in upcoming episodes. It's art. Fashion is also craft, histories of craft. Fashion is also self-creation, self-creativity, though within rules, within constraints. Self-creation, self-expression within rules of social class, of social privilege, historically rules of royal privilege. Phoenicians, only the royalty could wear purple. In ancient China, only the emperor could wear yellow. In medieval Europe, there were usury laws. Certain classes of people, only certain classes of people could wear certain fabrics, materials, colors, etc. So in these upcoming episodes, I've outlined about like 4 or 5 that I wanted to start with, in these 10-minute episodes. And I wanted to start with the first episode at the beginning. The rest are not going to be endlessly chronological, but I did feel like we should start at the beginning. And the beginning is in terms of fashion as we know it, in Western culture. We are here in America. What's with the label? I mean, I think most of us can imagine that the Romans weren't wearing togas with specific labels, not like Aeropostale togas or Nike togas or whatever. So when did that start? Labels, and it started quite recently in the mid to late 19th century. And in fact, it was designers imitating fine art painters, artists signing their work. And designers like, well, I'm making something unique and very special, and this is my distinctive contribution to Western art history and craft history. So why shouldn't I also sign my work? And thus these little extra slips of fabric were born. Again, more detail later. Another episode, military fashion from the military to the masses. A lot of the really classic items that we associate with like fashion trends in the 20th century here in the West are from the military. Aviator sunglasses, bomber jackets, trench coats. They came from the Army, they came from the Navy, they came from intelligence why were they so popular? Why did they become widely embraced, outside of the military? Because of their superior functionalism, right? Really innovative fabrics, and just also looks good. So when you have all of these ingredients, why wouldn't they be widely adopted? Very interesting, something that not a lot of people are aware of. Another episode, I want to talk about the kind of resemblance of Chanel and Prada, specifically the women Coco Chanel and Miuccia Prada. Again, I think most people, when they know Chanel as a really famous French brand with the interlocking C's, and then they know Prada as a famous Italian brand. But if we get into the history of the brands and the history of the people behind the brand specifically, Coco Chanel and Miuccia Prada were basically the first purveyors of what we would understand as like high-low fashion. What does that mean? Why did they find that a fascinating mix? And in what way? So we'll also get into that. And then I was thinking about denim. Denim is, I think, Levi's, etc., Wranglers. I mean, it's such a no pun intended, like fabric. It's part of the fabric of American society. And I wanted to discuss denim as part of the American contribution to Western fashion history. And certainly before Americans widely embraced denim, that was not something that was worn as a fashionable item in the West. So call that the House of Denim. Again, I encourage you guys to let me know specific items, specific brands, specific parts of history, of culture, different cultures that you're interested in terms of fashion as it relates to fashion. And I'll see you next time with What's Up with the Label. Thanks.